Hello and welcome to Cinema Wellman. I'm your host, David. And in this episode, I will attempt to recap some of the best and worst films we screened here in the final months of 2024 when things got dark here. We have 4 in the best category and 4 in the worst bin that will get the proper treatment, but there are also 4 additional films that I wanted to mention quickly that I never wrote up. Too late for that now, but I did want to put them on your radar. These 4 are all recommended for various reasons. To begin, Fresh. 2022 was enjoyable, although a tad predictable. IMDb tells us, after quitting dating apps, a woman meets the supposedly perfect man and accepts his invitation to a romantic weekend getaway, only to find out that her new paramour has been hiding some unusual appetites. Yes, his unusual appetite is exactly what you think it is. It opens with a dating montage almost as horrific as what the young woman faces later in the film. Next is a film from 2024 that was universally panned by critics, yet I enjoyed it more than seemingly everyone else that saw it. Rumors is a political satire zombie horror comedy about the G7 world leaders getting lost in the woods during the summit. It involves a gigantic brain, and friend of Cinema Wellman, Kate Blanchett, plays the leader of Germany. That's really all you need to know. Another film I quickly wanted to mention, also from 2024, is Here, directed by Robert Zemeckis. Here stars Robin Wright and Tom Hanks in a generational story about families and the special place they inhabit. The end of this made me cry and cry and The amazing feature of this film is that the camera is entirely static throughout the film. The audience sees one room of this house and that's it. The characters move throughout the frame, but the camera does not move at all. Years and decades pass, yet our point of view remains the same. Very cool to see different points in history when that house didn't exist. It wasn't even there at all. I thoroughly enjoyed this experimental film, even though it was made by those Forrest Gump people. And then there's a film I'm going to let IMDb take a shot at before I get into it. In this 19th century supernatural winter epic, a drunken Applejack salesman must go from zero to hero and become North America's greatest fur trapper by defeating hundreds of beavers. They had me at drunken Applejack salesman. This is called Hundreds of Beavers, and it's almost 2 hours long. It's silent. And all of the animals are played by humans wearing animal costumes that are obvious. They're not even meant to look like real animals. This has to be seen to be believed. I saw it, and I'm still not sure if I believe it. Okay, now here, let's get to those 8 films that we wanted to discuss in a little bit more depth. We'll start where we usually do, and that is at the bottom. And this bottom contains an M. Night Shyamalan sighting, and that's never a good sign. Trap from 2024, PG-13, 105 minutes of our time. IMDb 6, directed by M. Night Shyamalan. If you've been here before, you know how I feel about Shyamalan. Even though I think he's vastly overrated and I find his movies boring, I don't avoid his movies because I want to give him a chance to prove me wrong. He's yet to prove me wrong. Trap starts with a preposterous premise and gets more and more unbelievable by the minute. There's a serial killer at large that nobody knows what he looks like, and yet they do know that he'll be at a particular pop concert that has actually been set up as a trap to capture him. That sounds even more idiotic when I say it out loud. What follows is scene after scene that will have you saying, huh? To yourself over and over. And the fact that Shyamalan continues to insist on appearing in speaking roles in his own movies just makes his movies worse for me. He is terrible. A Shyamalan that isn't terrible is his daughter, Suleika, who plays the pop star in this movie. She wrote and performed all the songs featured in the concert portion of the movie, and I think she did a very good job. No need to make her pay for the sins of her hack father. I read that Dad Shyamalan said that the pitch and concept of the movie revolved around the question, what if Silence of the Lambs happened at a Taylor Swift concert? What? And they throw money at that. All right, next, Anyone But You from 2023. Rated R, 103 minutes. IMDb 6.1. What is up? Is directed by Will Gluck. IMDb tells us, after an amazing first date, Bea and Ben's fiery attraction turns ice cold until they find themselves unexpectedly reunited at a wedding in Australia. So they do what any two mature adults would do: pretend to be a couple. Why? Why is that the mature thing to do? Why must they pretend to be a couple? That doesn't make any sense at all. Premise aside, I have nothing against Glenn Powell. Nothing at all. It seems like every movie nowadays has Glenn Powell in it, because every movie nowadays has Glenn Powell in it. He's good, don't get me wrong, but he's not perfect for every part in every movie being currently produced. I'm also waiting for the first Sydney Sweeney movie that doesn't exploit her body and lets her act, but I'm not holding my breath. It kind of reminds me of when Jamie Lee Curtis started. It seemed like every movie of hers had to have that one nude scene or bikini scene because it had to. Jamie Lee eventually graduated from such scenes and roles, and I'm hoping the same is true for Sydney Sweeney. Oh, and I'm sick to death of destination weddings and all of these romantic comedies lately. No wonder I hate the rom-coms. Next, from 2024, The Union, rated PG-13, 107 minutes, IMDb 5.4, directed by Julian Farino. The lingering question after screening this boring piece of trash was, how do movies like this get made? Oscar winner Halle Berry, Oscar winner J.K. Simmons, and Oscar nominee, really? Mark Wahlberg, star in this film that seems like pre-production and all rational thought ended once those three were cast. We have the film cast, so why bother with the script? IMDb says construction worker Mike is thrust into the world of espionage when his high school sweetheart Roxanne recruits him for a high-stakes intelligence mission. What? Yes, it's that stupid. The premise that a super secret government organization that nobody even knows exists would need an idiot construction worker from New Jersey for this high-stakes intelligence mission is, well, idiotic. I knew this was going to be stupid, so this one was on me, but I didn't think it was going to be as awful as it was. Wahlberg is terrible and can't really act, if you ask me. So asking him to transform from a clueless working Joe into a top-notch assassin in about 10 minutes may be the dumbest part of this extremely dumb movie. Again, who threw money at this? Is it possible that there's a movie that was worse than all of these movies? That is a great question. And the answer is a resounding yes. And it's actually much worse. From 2022, it's On the Line, rated R, 104 minutes. IMDb says 5.5, directed by Romuald Boulanger. When you've seen as many movies as I have, you're bound to see a lot of movies that are just awful. Terrible, terrible movies. Movies that you end up hating even. That's to be understood when you're approaching 10,000 movies, but then there are movies that are part of a much smaller list. Movies that flat out insult you. On the Line is one of those movies. IMDb says, a radio host takes a call where an unknown person threatens to kill the host's entire family on air. To save his loved ones, the host will have to play a survival game, and the only way to win is to find out the identity of the criminal. Mel Gibson plays the radio host, so again, this is totally on me. I should have known better. I am about to spoil everything about this movie since I don't want anyone else to endure this dreadful cinematic experience. So here we go. And these are like scattershot. Gibson's a shock jock who is abusive to his listeners and staff. New guy Dylan starts work, and during his very first shift, he is humiliated on air by Gibson. He should obviously leave since no one should be treated like that, but he does not. Since Gibson's character is so hated, a caller calls in and tells him he's kidnapped Gibson's wife and child and is going to kill them. For some stupid reason, the killer has the wife and child at the radio station instead of just killing them in their house where they were. Gibson and Dylan wander all over the deserted radio station, finding dead staff members and general malfeasance. Killer shows his face and is strapped with a bomb vest. When time comes to press the button, he does, and nothing happens. Then everybody but Dylan starts to laugh, since it was a big joke. Hysterical. Dylan gets really pissed, runs off, only to be confronted by the entire staff in the stairwell. Dylan falls down the stairs, hits his head, and dies. Gibson is freaked out and upset, yada yada, and then Dylan gets up, as I expected him to do, because that was also a big joke as well. The joke on Dylan, created by Gibson, was actually part of a larger prank on Gibson, created by his staff, to teach him a lesson, because he's such a hateful and despicable human being. Movie ends with Gibson telling his staff that they better be ready for work the next day. Oh, fuck you, movie. How about some good movies? Did I actually screen anything that I could speak about in a positive way? I did, and here we go. We're going to start with, from 2024, The Watchers, rated PG-13, 102 minutes. IMDb says 5.7, directed by Ishana Shyamalan. Directed by whom? Who? Am I praising the work of another Shyamalan? I am. And it's another one of M. Night's daughters who did a better job directing than he ever did in my book. IMDb says a young artist gets stranded in an extensive, immaculate forest in Western Ireland where, after finding shelter, she becomes trapped alongside three strangers, stalked by mysterious creatures each night. This is a slow burn, supernatural thriller that I found very compelling. I'm a big fan of movies that keep me guessing and wondering where they're headed. I really don't want to say anything else about it because I recommend that you see it yourself if you're into these types of movies and or if you like Dakota Fanning. Parts of this were pretty creepy, and I really like how it ended. Next is from 1971, and it's The Burglars, rated PG, 120 minutes, IMDb 6.5, directed by Henri Vernier. IMDb, in 1970s Athens, a group of professional burglars plan an emerald heist from the home of a gem collector, but a corrupt Greek police inspector is on the trail. We love a heist movie here at Cinema Wellman. And the French thriller La Casse, known as The Burglars in the U.S., was an unexpected treat. Stars Jean-Paul Belmondo, friend of Cinema Wellman Diane Cannon, and Omar Sharif as the corrupt police inspector. This is everything you'd want in a 70s heist movie, including some exciting stunts, most of which were done by Jean-Paul Belmondo himself. One of those stunts is a spectacular fall from a construction truck down a steep rocky hillside that has to be seen to be believed. I didn't time it, but I read on IMDb that no dialogue is spoken until 10 minutes into the film and hardly any until the 22-minute mark, the sign of a great heist movie. And there's also a cringy death scene involving a grain silo, which is yikes. Next, 1995's Empire Records, rated PG-13, 90 minutes. IMDb 6.7, directed by Alan Moyle. One of my favorite things about working where I currently work is talking about movies with my coworker, Crystal. Some of my friends think I've seen everything, but I'm convinced that it's Crystal who has seen everything. When Crystal recently raved about Empire Records being a favorite of hers, my first thought was, I don't even think I've seen that. IMDb says 24 hours in the lives of the young employees at Empire Records as they face the store, joining a chain store with strict rules. I have no idea how I missed this, and I'm glad Crystal brought it up because it was a lot of fun. Store owner Anthony LaPaglia gives off a little bit of a creepy vibe with the girls at times. I think that's just my perception. Debbie Mazar, Rory Cochrane, Robin Tunney, Renee Zellweger turn in excellent performances as members of Empire Records staff. It's not all fun and games, but it's mostly fun, and the music is tremendous. Thanks to another side project I'm involved in, I listened to the soundtrack for this movie before I even saw the movie, and that's good stuff as well. Excuse me. One movie to go in this wrap-up, and it's also a music movie. And if you're a fan of pop music, it's a movie that you absolutely cannot miss. From 2024, The Greatest Night in Pop, rated PG-13, 96 minutes, IMDb 7.9, directed by Bao Nguyen. Most music fans of a certain age remember the all-star anthem, We Are the World, which assembled anyone who was anyone in pop music at the time to record a charity single for African famine relief. The list of performers who gathered on the night of January 28, 1985 in Los Angeles is truly a who's who of music royalty. I didn't do the research, but I'm willing to wager that half of those musicians are in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. It was amazing to see them all in one place at the same time, uniting for the same cause. This Netflix documentary chronicles that historic night and gives viewers a behind-the-scenes look at the recording of a song we have all heard hundreds of times. This is a must-see for any music fan. Well, that is a wrap from here at Cinema Wellman for our best and worst end of 2024 episode combo, whatever you want to call it. We hope you join us next time for whatever we serve up in this lengthy resurrection. Not sure what it's going to be, but we hope you're here. And until then, take care.